Hi guys, phone nearly went down then. Okay, so this is part 2 of the hollow grind versus yesterday's winner. If you watched the video on knife grinds, so I've added another one to the mix, which is the Buck 124, which is a hollow grind with a secondary bevel. Excellent slicer. So again, the difference between grinds, yet again, it's, you know, it speaks for itself. Hollow grind is a really good slicer. You can't fault it at all. Yeah, it's not designed for heavy duty, but it will do it, as I will demonstrate in the second video when I do a review on it, as I reviewed this 3 or 4 years ago. So I think it's about time to do an updated one. But yeah, this will slice all day long. Really good slicer, really excellent steel, really good grind, razor sharp. I've never known a buck knife come dull, never. It's always been hair popping sharp straight out the box, and this was no exception. Although this wasn't brand new, I bought this in a trade, so it was still sharp, but obviously after I had to do a few strops. But as soon as I did a few strops, it was back to hair popping sharp, and then it remained so for quite a long time. Okay, so go back to yesterday's winner, the Scandi. And again, you know, Scandi really comes into its own, you know, with this kind of thing. Try and get the camera. Okay, back to the book. Yeah. Trying to get you again. Yeah. Do some chest levers. One of my favourite cuts to do, this chest lever. If you want to remove a lot of materials in a short space of time just by carving, then this is the way to do it. I mean, look how much material I've moved there in a short space of time by doing the chest lever. Much more powerful than the forward stroke. Okay, back to the book. Back to the book. Chest lever, Buck. Yep, does it, but it does it, but not. It's not as graceful in the way that does it compared to the Barco. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, again, I've got to give it to the Scandi. Yeah, it's obviously you can do it with that, but again, we're talking about the grinds because of that high Scandi grind. As I explained yesterday, this is why I like high Scandi grinds, almost like a saber grind. It's because it's just an awesome slicer. I'm really not keen on shallow, like a lot of Moorers have a very shallow Scandi grind, and if Moorer took their knife away, or came out with a knife with a higher Scandi grind, it'd be, you know, way better than the current Moorers. That's coming out of the factory. A lot of the old-fashioned Pucos with the Scandi grind, you know, again, they tend to be quite high, or Puco or Liukus of Finland. They come with high Scandi grinds for reasons, as I explained yesterday, make excellent carving. So yeah, chest levers, carving, yeah. So hollow ground with secondary versus Scandi. I love both knives. I love both grinds, but if I was to choose one knife, if to grab one knife right now and go out to the woods, it'd probably be this one. It would probably be this one, just because of what I'll be doing it probably in the woods. If I was doing more heavier tasks, obviously out of the two, I'd take this one, because it's more. It's the blade is a lot longer. It's built basically like a tank. You can do some heavy duty chopping, batoning, etc. Yes, you can do that with this, but obviously the size difference, a 4-inch blade compared to, I think this is about a 6-inch blade. There's going to be a big difference in the chopping department. But for general bushcrafting tasks, yeah, I'd take that one over the other one any day of the week. Yeah, Barco did an amazing job with this. Absolutely amazing. Now, as I said, I think I did it in one of my videos. When I first got this Barco, I was really impressed with it, and like I got it with for intention or intents and purposes for the allotment. That's what I wanted it for, a heavy duty knife for the allotments. You know, a cheap knife that I don't mind getting dinged up and scratched, and as you can see, it's had quite a lot of use over the months that I've used it. Scratches. And one day I was battling through the wood similar to this, but it was a lot thicker, and as you can see, this has got nails through it, but the woods that I was reusing, I spent most of the morning taking all the nails and the screws out of it, but there was one screw embedded into the wood that was really countersunk deep into the wood, which I must have forgot to get out, obviously, so the head had snapped and buried itself in. So as I was battling through that piece of wood, this blade met the screw inside the wood, and I was struggling to baton through the rest. I thought, you know, what's the problem? You know, as far as I know, there wasn't a knot in the wood, so I was battling it. You know, I was actually smacking the hell out of this, and eventually the knife went through it. Okay, split the wood in half. I chucked the wood in the wood pile, and I I inspected my knife, and there was a big chip around about there on the edge of the blade. And you know, I was using a knife all morning. You know, I was kind of devastated in a way. I thought, you know, this is absolutely amazing knife, amazing carbon steel blade, really tough knife. I've been using it all morning for all kinds of rough tasks, and it had a massive chip on it. So I thought, you know, so I went to have a look at the wood. I thought, you know, I don't think it's the fault of the knife, and that's when I spotted it. That's when I spotted the screw. And what happened is, obviously, this met the screw, and I was hitting it hard, and obviously it took a time to get through the screw, and eventually it did actually go through the screw. In fact, it cut the screw in half because I was hitting it so hard, but obviously not without damage to the blade. But the damage was, considering what I've done, the damage was actually kind of minimal. So I put it on the stone. I had to regrind the whole edge to turn it back into to the Scandi. And cleaned it all up, and then no problems at all. I've not had a single problem with it since. The chip is long gone, obviously, but it still does bear the scar of that day of the screw, which is here. Can you see that scratch there? It's got a very deep scratch there, and that is where it hit the screw. And as I was batting it on top, obviously that was going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, right to the edge, and obviously the edge chipped off around about where that mark is there. So it does retain its battle scar there, where I was battling it through a screw and I didn't know. So I didn't bother to get that scratch out. I thought I'll leave, that's his badge of honour. So I left that deep scratch in there. This hasn't got a 90-degree spine, by the way, which is not a problem. It wasn't really designed for bushcraft. It's designed as a trader's knife, as a barcode trader's knife, a wrecking knife. They do a wrecking chisel as well, which is exactly the same as this, but obviously it's got a chisel tip instead of a knife blade. So it doesn't come with a 90-degree spine, but again, that's not an issue. You just run a file over the top. And because it's a wrecking knife and it's built for hard work for the trader, they have reinforced it substantially, especially on the spine. They've heat treated the spine, especially to take impact from a hammer or any heavy object on the spine. And you can see how they've reinforced that spine there. So it's not 90-degree spine. And obviously I can't remember what, some sort of heavy duty TPE, and obviously rubber there, so you can hammer this as well, piece of wood, hammer, whatever, and it's a very, very, very comfortable knife. Very comfortable, very comfortable. As far as cheap knives go, this is probably one of the most comfortable knives I've ever held in my hand. You know, you can work all day long with this and your hand will not fatigue or not get any hot spots at all. I know I'm going on a bit about this knife, but it deserves a mention because obviously it's yesterday's winner, and I compared grinds with it today with a hollow grind, which is the Buck, which used to be one of my favourite 6-inch blade knives. But if you're just starting out in bushcraft, again, this will be in a later video on bushcraft knives, what to choose, what I recommend. This is definitely going to be in that video. Yeah. So apart from the 90-degree spine, which is not going to appeal to most people, but again, you can run a file over that or grind or whatever, as long as you know what you're doing. I can turn it into a 90-degree spine, no problem. But so apart from that, oh, and the sheath. This sheath is absolutely, don't even bother about the sheath. This is the sheath I'm using with it. This is not the sheath with this knife. This is the Yari-Puukko 110 sheath from Finland. From the is it Vestalika or something? Which I used to buy a lot of their knives, but unfortunately they do not deliver to the UK anymore, so they've lost my business, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame, because the great guys up there, they've got really, really good knives like the Scrama, the Yari-Puukko 110, the Yari-Puukko 140, the Scrama 200, you know, I can go on. But unfortunately they've lost my business now because they no longer ship to the UK, which is a big shame. But this is their sheath, one of their sheaths. Absolutely amazing sheath, and it just so happens to fit that perfectly. So you got your dangler, you got your leather sheath, and it fits it perfect. So don't even bother with the standard sheath this comes with, because that is the only part of this knife where it's absolute rubbish. You know, as soon as I opened the box, I was ready to put that sheath in the bin straight away. It's just a big plastic. It does not fit the knife at all. If you was a trader, there is no way I'd have that knife in that sheath, especially if I'm climbing up and down ladders, because it would just fall out. It's absolutely garbage. I think I did end up throwing it away. But anyway, yeah, so marginally wins over this. It's a very good slicer, this being a hollow grind. And yeah, you know, the high scanning grind wins in that department, yeah, yet again. But it just comes to show what a difference a grind makes when you're processing wood, you know. But as for this Book 124, absolutely love it. It's still going to be one of my top 10 all favourite knives. Definitely still be in there. For what it is and for what it can do. When I tested it years ago, you know, it deserves merit. You know, really comfortable. Not as comfortable as obviously the Barco. Razor sharp. You can get this thing stupid sharp by just a few strops on a leather strop. 90-degree spine to do your debarking. Reinforced tip, full tang, roughly maybe 5.5–6mm spine, I can't remember. Heavy duty Bowie or Bowie style knife. But the only bad thing about this is that they don't make it in the UK. Very hard to find in the UK unless you can find a trader on one of the knife groups on Facebook or similar that you can trade with. I was lucky to find this on a trading group, so I had the money at the time, so I bought it immediately. Can't go wrong with this. And the sheath as well. Full grain leather sheath. Retains the knife, absolutely beautiful. Knife goes in and then snaps close. Yeah, like that. Nice thick welt. Heavy duty stitching. Says 124 there. Book. Yeah, ain't coming out. Definitely not coming out with that retention there. So there we have it. Differences between different grinds. These are only short videos, guys. They're not really in depth as the other two were yesterday. It's just a follow on. Just thought I might throw in another grind in there that can be also popular in bushcraft, which is the hollow grind with secondary bevel, which is getting more and more popular these days with food prep and bushcrafters. But it just comes to show it can be used depending on the steel and how well the blade's made and what steel it's from. There's no reason why you can't use a hollow grind for bushcraft. Although for a lot of us, me included, if I didn't have the book, it would be my first choice at all for bushcraft, especially if you're going to be doing any chopping or batoning. So yeah, there we go. Thanks for watching, and if you've got any comments about the knives I've featured in my last 3 videos I've uploaded in the last couple of days, then just let me know and I'll be in touch with you and respond as quickly as I can. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye bye now.